What's up guys, welcome to another speed build. I hope you're all having a wonderful day and happy Friday. I hope you have a lot of fun and or relaxing plans for the weekends, and hopefully it's filled with some Halloween activities. We are only 1 week away from Halloween, which is absolutely crazy. This month has flown by and I expect the rest of the holiday season to fly by as well, just like it usually does. But for today's video, we are over in Henford-on-Bagley and I am building a huge farmhouse for 3 different generations, and it has a lot of family activities. And as far as the farm goes, there is a garden, there is a cow/llama shed. You can have your choice. Of course, we have the chicken coop, and we also have a little barn for a horse as well. So, including the horse, this house is furnished for 8 Sims. We have a room for a grandparent, whether that's grandma or grandpa. I'll leave that completely up to you guys. We have 2 parents, a teenager, a child, a toddler, an infant, and 1 horse. Now you can always exchange a grandparent out for a second horse, or maybe a dog or a cat, or maybe you don't want a horse at all and you want 2 grandparents. It's completely up to you, and that is what is so good about 3 generational houses. It has plenty of space that you can do what you want with, whether you want 3 generations or not. These are such large houses, it makes it so easy to be able to manipulate it exactly how you want it to be. Not only do we have the farm area, but we also have a little area for the children. I did a modular playground area. We have a little fire pit back there as well. We have a pool. I had to add a water slide, guys. I've been on a water slide roll and I'm not stopping now, and I'm probably not going to stop anytime soon. I love them. I'm so happy that we have them now. They're such a great addition to a build. I just can't help but to use them. And then we have a pond on our build as well, and I also have a little area for the horse to be able to practice its jumping skills. So we have a lot going on here in this build, and I really hope you enjoy it. Of course, if you do, please do not forget to leave a like and also subscribe if you have not already. It definitely helps my channel out. It helps the algorithm push my videos out to other simmers. And also feel free to comment down below whatever it is you want to comment. I love to interact with you guys down below. And share it with your friends if they're simmers as well. I'm sure they would love it, and I would love it, you would love it, we would all love it. So feel free to share if that is what you would like to do. So, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get back into our build. I did forget to mention that this is on a 50 by 40 lot. I mentioned it was in Henford-on-Bagley, didn't mention the lot size, didn't really mention where. But you can see up in the top left-hand corner the name of the lot itself. It's Old Mill Lane, which is one of the 50 by 40 lots in, like, I don't remember that neighborhood, but it's not the town, and it's not deep in the forest. It's the one in between. It's where all the farmhouses are, and there's one on like a vertical lot, and then there's one on a horizontal lot. We are building on the vertical lot today. I usually choose the horizontal lot if we're being totally honest, and I'm not quite sure why. I think it's preference, to be honest. I think it's a little bit easier to do a farmhouse when you have a larger lot surrounding the house, like horizontally versus vertically. But I wanted to do something different with this build, so I don't remember the last time. It's been at least a year, okay, since I have built on this specific lot, and so it was a nice change, and it turned out pretty cute. I do feel like I could have gotten a lot more in this build if it was horizontal, but maybe that's just my mind playing tricks on me, because that is definitely a possibility. My mind does it to me all the time, and so it's really hard to say. It's just too different of a layout to really be able to tell if it's that different or not. At the end of the day, I don't think it is, but for some reason I feel like the horizontal shaped lots you're always able to include more on. I'm not sure why I feel that way, but I do. But despite that, I still was able to fit a whole bunch of stuff on this lot at the end of the day. So I do consider that a win. And not only was I able to include a lot of different stuff, I was also able to play around with the terrain manipulation a little bit in this build, which was a lot of fun actually. I have a lot of fun playing with terrain. It just takes me a while. And so I don't always choose to do it since it does take me so long, and I'm not 100% comfortable with it yet either, but I really need to continue practicing with it because that's how you get better. And like I said, it is fun at the same time, so why not? But this terrain is a little bit more advanced than I usually do my terrain. So I've done something similar to the front before. How it is here, I've done something similar. I have the house up on a hill, and then we have the driveway or walkway, whatever it is you want to call it. Not really a driveway. It's not for cars, but I guess the pathway up to the house is on a slant, and I used terrain paint to form the actual path. And when you form a path using terrain paint on a slope, I think it looks so good here in The Sims. It's almost like satisfying to me to paint a path onto a sloped terrain. I'm not sure why, but I guess it just kind of brings the sloped terrain to life a little bit when you do form a path, or maybe you put some dirt down, or whatever it is you do with the terrain paint. It always just brings the build to life, especially if it's on a slope. And so I had a lot of fun doing the path and all of the terrain paint. The terrain paint I don't do until the very, very end because I wasn't 100% sure where I wanted to place the terrain paint, and instead of going back and forth through the whole build, I figured let's just wait till the end. And it was kind of hard for me to do that. I usually like to, if I think of something and I'm trying to imagine it in my head, it's hard for me to imagine it without actually placing it down or painting it if it's the terrain paint. And so it was a little bit hard, but I was able to do it, and I think it turned out better for me in the end because I didn't have to go back and forth the whole build, which can become monotonous for sure. But you see how I have the ponds in the front there? So I really love the effect it gives when you have the house up on a slope, and then on the other side of the slope you have the complete opposite, which is the pond that's kind of going down under the ground. So I really love the dimension that gives each other. It really complements each other. And then you have the pathway kind of in between the high slope and the low slope, and I really love that. I've done something similar to that before, like I was saying, but it's been a while, so I figured why not go ahead and do it again. But I do want to mention before I forget, so I put a transition in the video and I didn't have an above ground pool, and then all of a sudden I had an above ground pool. I cut that part out because I did not end up keeping the above ground pool, so I figured, why would you guys want to see something that isn't going to be included in the build in the end? I really want to do a build with an above ground pool at some point, but this was not the build. I actually do end up putting a pool, but it's an in-ground pool. And the way that I actually create the pool area, I really like, because I put the pool on a foundation, and then, the foundation's level with the house, and then the terrain paint, it's easier to manipulate the terrain itself when it's around a foundation versus a regular wall, which I know sounds confusing, but if you're familiar with building in The Sims, then you know if you try to manipulate the terrain around the actual wall of the house, it does not form right up against it, which irritates me to no end. I know there's ways around it. You can add like landscaping or rocks or whatever, but you know, we're not doing that. And so an easy way around that is to manipulate it around the foundation instead. I mean, it doesn't really allow you to do certain things like split level houses and stuff like that. But in this case, it helped us out tremendously. It looks really good. It actually reminds me of when I lived in Tennessee, and there was a lot of uneven ground up in Tennessee. And so your front yard might be a single-story house, but then your backyard would be like a two-story house. You know, it's pretty cool how that happens. And so this build actually kind of reminds me of that. Not that our front yard is a single story house, because obviously it's not, but you'll see once I do the pool area way at the end of the build, well, you know, maybe not way at the end, more like the middle of the build, you'll see what I mean about the terrain paint. The back of the pool actually it becomes level with the rest of the ground, because I wanted the horse barn, the cow barn, and the garden, I wanted all of that to be on level ground. And so I figured the house itself could be up on, you know, a hill. And then if I have the pool in the backyard, it gives me a lot of area to be able to form an even slope down. And it'll look really nice. And then it'll have a big rock wall, you know, behind the pool, basically. It turns out really, really good. I really hope you guys like it as well, and I'm really excited for you guys to see it. And like I said, that is more towards like the middle of the build. I get the furnishings done in the build first, and then I go out and finish the whole landscaping. If you're a returning viewer, you guys know the drill. I usually do this. I either go back and forth, or I start the outside and get it all exactly how I think I'm going to want it. And then I go inside, I do the floor plan, I'll probably do the furnishings, and then I'll go back outside and finish the outside. For some reason, that is just easier for me to do. It helps my brain see the finished product, if that makes sense. So what I currently have outside right now does end up changing kind of a lot, and I say kind of because it does stay the same, but I manipulate the front a little bit. I bring it up closer to the edge of the lot, and then in the back, of course, I add the pool, I add more fencing around the garden. I mean, I spruce it up a lot. And then the playground area, I do a lot more in the playground area too. So the backyard is by all means not done at all. As far as the furnishings inside of the house goes, we are just about ready to start furnishing, and I went back and forth on the color scheme I wanted to do on the inside. I knew I wanted to do blue. I kind of wanted to go for like a darker blue, but we do a mix between light blue and dark blue that really looks nice with each other. And the floor plan itself, I tried to make unique compared to what I normally do, and I think I did quite a good job in regards to that. It's pretty unique, and I was actually able to use one of these bay window chairs, guys, from Cats and Dogs, and then it also has a matching 3-seater couch. I am never able to use this combination just because my floor plans never allow it, but I was so happy. It was so satisfying to me to be able to use both of these couches with each other, and I have been dying to use one of these bay window couches. I love how they have the pillows up against the walls, and it is just so cute, but it's kind of hard to use because usually my bay windows, I either do something else, I do like single chairs that's kind of like faced in towards each other with an end table in between there, and then I put like a lamp or a plant or whatever as decoration on top of the end table, or maybe I'll just plop an easel down. I mean, who knows? I do all sorts of stuff, but the bay window chairs are so cute. Just the swatches are not super versatile, which is the main problem that I have but I already had in mind that I wanted to use this 3-seater sofa from Cats and Dogs. This is a farmhouse style house, and a lot of the Cats and Dogs furniture is farmhouse style. And so I knew for a fact that I wanted to use that couch and the single seater couch, or the chair in other words. I make up words over here, guys. But the chair and the 3-seater sofa, I knew I wanted to use those two things because I knew those two I could match. But then I came across this swatch of the bay window couch, and I cannot tell you how happy I was to see that it matches with the couch that I wanted to use. For some reason, I didn't know that they had matching swatches with these because I'm so used to them not having matching swatches. So I just assumed that bay window couch wouldn't match with anything. But yeah, I was very happy to see that it did in fact match with the other couch that I wanted to use. And then the color scheme itself was perfect too for the bay window couch. I mean, the light blue with the dark blue and the whites, I mean, that's exactly the theme of what I wanted to do with the rest of the house. So it kind of worked out perfectly. In the living room, I added a fireplace. I did not add a chimney anywhere on the outside of the build. There was really no good place to put it. I used I don't remember the roof type, guys. I'm trying to be all technical. I don't know. The type of roof that I used does not look good with a chimney, in my opinion. So I didn't put a chimney anywhere. I love typically to put chimneys. I honestly can't stand putting a fireplace without a chimney, but I did it in this build, so. But anyways, on the fireplace, I put one of those like picture frame TVs, just like I did in my last build and a lot of other builds before that. But I used a different swatch on this picture frame TV this time. I used the one with the Aurora Borealis, and it matched so good in the living room. Too good not to use. I usually do like not so bright and not so like extreme of a design for the TV, but I really liked that picture. It was so pretty and, like I said, matched perfectly, and it really stuck out, which I don't always like, but it really worked out in the living room for this build. And then of course we have a big octagon shaped coffee table in the middle of the living room, which brought the whole thing together. I really love the way this living room turned out. It's kind of on the smaller side, as for this kitchen is also on the smaller side, but I really like how like small and cozy it is. And then there's so many bedrooms in this house that kind of makes up for how small the living room and kitchen is. It should be interesting if you do have this filled to the max amount of Sims you can have, just like I designed the house for. It should be interesting to see how it plays out. Like, will it get cramped? Who knows? I hope not. I really hope it won't get cramped. Honestly, it shouldn't get cramped, but it usually always is cramped when you have that many Sims anyways. But there's so much space outside that they can just go outside and get some fresh air away from their family. It's really not a huge deal. Honestly, I'm the type that kind of likes to play in cramped spaces anyways. It's kind of like I like to torture myself in that way. I'm not sure why, but I do. It's also easier to find all of your Sims, so there's that. But we are working on the kitchen, and I think this kitchen turned out so stinking cute. I have been wanting to do a kitchen in this color scheme for quite a while now, probably ever since cottage living came out, but for some reason this darker blue on the cabinet was just kind of hard for me. It never really looked right, but paired with this flooring from For Rent, I feel like it is like perfect. It was like made for each other, honestly. The light blue and the dark blue in the flooring really brings together the dark cabinets and the light blue notes I have in like the rug and the appliances, the decorations. I just think it turned out so cute. And of course, I am using the fridge from the kitchen clutter kit, and I couldn't help but to use this one. It has a picture of a chicken on it, and this is a farmhouse, guys. I couldn't not use that fridge. I really wanted to use a more farmhouse looking fridge, but I mean, it's got a picture of a chicken, and 2 chickens actually, and, well, I guess one's more of like a rooster. Maybe they're both roosters. And a pumpkin. It also has a pumpkin sticker. So, I mean, I just think it is so cute. And I am also using this microwave. This is the first time I've used the microwave and coffee pot from the restoration workshop kit since the kit came out, and the color was too perfect not to use. Once I seen it had a swatch in this color, I'm like, okay, well, here we go. I found the microwave that I'm using. Plus, it's like a retro style microwave, so I feel like it's perfect for a farmhouse. We have a lot of the country kitchen kit items in here as well. And of course I had to use the little like chicken egg holder thing from Cottage Living. I think that is so cute, guys. I would honestly probably put that in my kitchen in real life, and I don't even have a farmhouse style vibe going on in my house, but yet I love that chicken and I think it's so cute. Honestly, my mom, she tends to go for like farmhouse style decorations. I feel like she would absolutely die over that thing. I think she would love it. If I seen one in real life, I would probably get it for her because I think she would love it. And they have chickens. They have chickens now, so she could put her eggs in there. It's kind of perfect. I need to look to see if they actually have those. Like, if they exist and you guys know about it, don't hold out on me. Let me know. Let me know. Send me a link. Amazon, Walmart, it doesn't matter. If they make those egg holders shaped like a chicken, let me know. And then that oven that I'm using is also from the kitchen clutter kit, and I love that oven. It's one of my favorite like farmhouse style ovens that is in the game, and so I try to use it if I ever do a farmhouse. Something about like the tall back area on the oven, it just screams like farmhouse and like old retro style, and I really like it, and it fits perfectly in a farmhouse build. And something that I really love to do on the tall back area on the oven is lift up a couple of objects. Typically I'll do like a little alarm clock or timer or something like that. In this build I used the one that's shaped like a toaster from high school years. I figured that was perfect. And then on the left side of that, I added the salt and pepper shakers. I'll lift both of those items up and put it on the top part, and I don't know, it just gives it a little bit of a realistic vibe, and I really love that. And I mean, that's pretty much all there is to say about the kitchen. You pretty much see what it has to offer. I really like that I use the half circular island too. I don't always do that, so when I do get a chance to, I really love it. And the curved ones I really like because it typically has a little shelf area that you can put plates or any other sort of clutter items. And so I grabbed the plates from Snowy Escape and I put those down on the open space down there, and it just makes it look so much more detailed and pretty and realistic, and it's one of my favorite things to do if I use those like curved counters. And then of course I had to put some stools in front of the curved island as well, and I had to use the farmhouse style ones that is from Cats and Dogs. I just really wish that it matched those chairs that I'm using a little bit better. You see how those chairs has like the seat cover on top of it, and you can see the seat covers tied in a bow on the back of the chairs. I wish they would have done the same thing for the stools. I think it would have made the stools a lot cuter than they actually are. Not that they're ugly, I just think they could have been cuter. In the past, I have sized down and lifted up some of those base game pillows, and it definitely made it look better, but I didn't feel like doing that here. If we're being totally honest, I was being a little bit lazy with this build in certain aspects of it. I mean, I did a lot outside, so I kind of did not so extreme on the inside. I mean, I say that, but it's pretty cluttered, but Um, you guys know what I mean. I didn't go as cluttered as I could have. I had to save time somewhere. But one thing that I did do was size down and lift up a couple of yoga mats, and I put that on top of the kitchen table, which is something new that I've recently started to do. I really wanted to add some sort of table runner in one of my builds about a month or so ago. So I looked up some ideas, and I seen some people said that you can do what I did here with the yoga mat, so I tried it. And I think it looks super cute. Now, is it like a table runner that like goes off to the edges and kind of waterfalls over? No, it's not, and I wish it was, but I guess it's better than nothing. It definitely does look like a table runner at the end of the day, and so I was happy enough with it. And that kitchen table, I felt like screamed Farmhouse. I don't think I have used that kitchen table yet. If I have, then I don't remember at all, but I believe it is from Jungle Adventure, and it has like a white trim, and on the top part in the middle is like a light wood, and I felt like it matched this build absolutely perfectly. And so I took this opportunity to go ahead and use it, and of course I surrounded it with those cat and dog farmhouse style kitchen chairs, which I love. They always remind me of my grandma when I see them because she has those exact chairs. I mean, they're more of a wood color, and then she has like a red theme in her kitchen with like apples and stuff everywhere. It's super cute. She really decorates really well. And so her seat covers are red, but they look just like those chairs. And like I said, every time I see them, they always make me think of my grandma. And I need to give her a call now that I'm thinking about her. I'm about to go call my grandma now. And if you guys have a grandma and you're able to, then you should go give your grandma a call now. Now is your reminder to do that. But anyways, we are working on the bathroom and the master bedroom. We already got the spare bathroom done downstairs, and it's pretty much similar, but not exactly the same as this master bathroom. I love this blue theme that we have going on throughout the house. I think it is so cute, and in this bathroom, it was so large, I took this opportunity to go ahead and use one of these large garden tubs that I wish I had in real life, but I don't. So like I said in my last video, I live vicariously through my Sims and my builds. And so I decided to go ahead and put one here in this master. I thought it looked so good. It was pretty much perfect in that little corner right there. And we also have a little itty bitty walk-in shower, and of course a toilet and a sink. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I did put like this stool underneath the window because we needed something there. It was a little bit blank and lackluster, and so I was trying to think of different ideas of what I could do, and I came up with this stool, and then on top of the stool I added a radio and like a plant as decoration. And I was thinking the radio could be used for like listening to music while your Sim's relaxing in the bathtub or the shower, or maybe on the toilet. It doesn't matter to me. There's no judgment. I just thought it was a good idea to have a radio in there to listen to music, you know? Definitely don't get it wet. That's all I have to say. I mean, in The Sims, the same thing doesn't happen in The Sims as it does in real life. Just don't do this in real life is all I have to say. Unless it's a battery operated one, then you should be safe. Just don't plug it into the wall. So we are now working on the master bedroom itself, and we pretty much have it all together. I'm using a base game bed, which actually, to be fair, a lot of the furniture that I'm using in the master is from base game. But I thought this bed matched really well with these curtains that I have been using throughout the rest of the house. I thought it was super like farmhousey and perfect for this build. And then we have a dresser, we have another fireplace in the master too, and then I did another one of those like picture frame TVs. But I did the other one that I like to use. It's not the Aurora Borealis, but it's like the landscape photo of like Christmas tree looking trees with like snow on it, and I thought it was super cute and it matched, so I said why not. And on top of the dresser I actually put one of those no shoe signs. It was a cute decoration, but it also serves a purpose, so your Sims are not allowed to wear shoes inside of the house, which I never was one to be like that, right? I was like, you know what, what's the difference? I'll tell you what, in this new house, I've developed that rule, not really so much for my guests, but for my husband and I, we're not allowed to wear shoes in the house if we can help it. And I'll tell you what, it really does make a difference, and now I'm on that bandwagon. Now I don't wear shoes in the house, and so I totally get it. Don't get me wrong though, I've always loved to be barefooted, but I wouldn't have like a rule like no shoes in the house or anything like that. I didn't know there was that big of a difference, but there really is. I don't have to sweep and mop as often as I did before. Like I would have to sweep like literally every day, but now like I don't get the sand in my house because we're not bringing the sand in from outside. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, my guests, I don't make them do it, you know what I mean? I'll just, have to sweep and mop when they leave, which is fine. But I don't have very many people come over anyways. So once in a blue moon is not gonna hurt, but like an everyday thing, I really, really like not wearing shoes. I guess I need to get one of those no shoes allowed in the house signs, like in The Sims. Maybe people will just automatically know. Probably not though. But we have got Grandma's room done. I was kind of in my mind figuring it was Grandma that lived here with her child and child's spouse, in-law, whatever you want to call it. I wasn't really specifying as I was building. I don't have a storyline for this build. I didn't really think whose parent lived here and if it was a grandma or a grandpa. I figured you guys could decide yourselves. But with that being said, I did design a room more so for a grandma, but really honestly a grandpa could be in there too. And I put a knitting basket in there as well. I figured Grandma's really into knitting. She really loves to knit beanies and sweaters and socks for all of her grandchildren and maybe for herself every once in a while. But she just really enjoys knitting. That's like her thing. And she really enjoys baking and cooking too. And then really honestly, Grandma's room is very simple and sweet. Not really much to it. I do think it's super adorable though with the blue and the yellow. Actually, that room is probably the most colorful room in the house, believe it or not. Even more colorful than all of the kids' rooms. It just turned out that way, but it was nice to break up, the monotony of all the blues and add some yellow in there, and so it was a nice little contrast for the rest of the house. And we are now upstairs working on the first of the children's rooms, and this age group is literally the child. So as a reminder, we have the teen, we have the child, we have the toddler, and earlier I said infant, but I was incorrect. It is actually for a newborn baby. I forgot that I was thinking as I was building this, the mom in the house is actually pregnant with what will be their last child. And so the nursery will be decorated for a newborn baby instead of an infant. But honestly, kind of one and the same, just one needs a bassinet and one needs a crib. I mean, you can do a lot more with infants than you can newborn babies, but the newborn babies are literally only a newborn baby for like 2 days in The Sims. So honestly, about an hour after you download this house, you'll have to swap out the bassinet for the crib, but that's fine. That's easy. You can literally keep everything else in the nursery the same. So as far as the kids' room goes, we are pretty much almost done with her room, and I put one of those like caterpillar cages in here so that she can grow her own butterfly. I just think that's adorable. Plus it's a new feature in a recently released pack, so I just, why not use it? And I put one of those big tents from Dream Home Decorator in this room. I absolutely love these big tents. If I can use it, then I will. Just most of the time, it is way too big for the houses I typically do. So if I do a house that is on the larger side and the child's room is big enough, or maybe if there's a playroom or whatever, if I'm able to use it, then I definitely take advantage of it. And inside of that, I put some decorations. So one of them is from Growing Together. It's the one with the teddy bear on top of the box and it's like dressed up like a fairy. I thought that was so cute. And then we also have like a fairy stuffed animal in there, which is from, I want to say Enchanted by Nature, but I could be wrong. And then I also put the imaginary friend in there too. I did the Pegacorn, which I think is that imaginary friend's name. And I thought it was a cute addition to actually put a functional doll inside of that little area. And that tent should still be usable, by the way. I have done the same thing before by adding like toys and other decorations inside of the tent. And your child, like I said, should still be able to play in there and take a nap and do whatever they would normally do in there. I just really like to add the extra decorations in the tent. I think it really brings the tent to life and it makes it look a little bit more realistic than just leaving it blank, you know? Now, I am about 99% sure that your one child will be able to play in there, but I'm not sure if they'll be able to have a friend play with them because typically I think you can have 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 children or toddlers play in that tent. But with the decorations might make it to where only one can. But there's only one child in this build, so I think that's fine. If they have a friend over, there's plenty of other skill building items in their room they can play with. And there's a huge playground outside that they can play on as well. And not to mention, there's a pool with a whole water slide that they can play with too. So, I mean, plenty of things that they can do in this build other than that little tent in the child's room. And I feel like that's all there really is to say about the child's room. You've probably seen on top of the craft table, I pulled out some of the debug objects, like some of the debug crafts, and I put some of those on top of the creativity table. I think that is a really nice addition. It makes that area look used. And that's exactly what I wanted. And then of course we put some like posters and some other crafts and stuff in her room as well. And that is about it. And then we are working on the teens room now, and we actually have a Jack and Jill bathroom in between both of these rooms. And the last 2 builds that I've done a Jack and Jill bathroom. So I don't know what is going on with me. I'm just kind of on a Jack and Jill bathroom roll lately, and I'm not mad at it. I really love those bathrooms, and I typically like to decorate them to show that it's obviously a teen or a child that has that bathroom. But honestly, these bathrooms, other than the master, the other 2 bathrooms in this build are very basic, and that's fine. They're kind of on the smaller side, so I didn't have a lot of room to do a bunch of stuff in it anyways. And like I said earlier, I needed to save time somewhere, and it was the bathrooms that suffered. But that's fine. I mean, they do the job, and that's all that matters. But as for the teens room, I think this teens room turned out so cute. It looks like a typical teens room in my opinion. I really love the blue theme, the blue and white theme that is throughout, and then there's some white and beige notes here and there. And behind the bed, at first on both sides of the bed, I have the end tables, and on top of the end tables I had like lamps on top of it, but instead of the lamps I switched those out for the lit up butterflies that came with the kids' room stuff. And it's been such a long time since I used those butterflies, and they added a lot of light, so I exchanged those with the lamps, and then I added some like flowers on top of the end tables instead. Just, I didn't know what else to put, and I thought it turned out so cute. We have a computer in her room. I love to add computers for my teens. I think teens they get a lot of use out of the computers. And then of course we have an additional computer downstairs. And then in the little bay window area, I have one of those really cute egg-shaped chairs that came with high school years. And then I put a little like poof or a beanbag chair next to it with a table in between. And on the table I put, of course, a plant, because who am I to not put a plant on a table? And I also put a radio, of course, and then I put that little clutter piece of like, it's like a set of phone and keys, and I love that little piece of clutter. It makes it feel super realistic, and I think it's perfect for a teen's room. Of course, they're gonna have their phone right there where they can grab it at all times. And I also put an easel in there too, just for some sort of skill building item. And other than that, that's really about it for the teens room. I did have a dresser in there, but you've probably seen I was play testing and my sim could not go around the dresser, so I removed the dresser and I put a mirror there instead with a little like pile of makeup right in front of it. I think that's such a cute touch. It makes it look like the teen will sit there or stand there and put her makeup on while, you know, looking in the mirror. I don't know. I think it kind of tells a story, so I like it. And I am working on a toddler's room now, but I did already get the infant's room done, which really not much to say about it. I used the storybook nursery kit, of course. I'm sure you guys seen that coming, but I did a little bit of a different color scheme than I usually do. I added one of those rugs that came with storybook nursery kit, and I used the swatch. It looks like farm animals or zoo animals. Yeah, zoo animals. And I think that is so cute and perfect for a house like this. I think that nursery is so stinking adorable. I just love it. And I mean, then I added a rocking chair, and really that's about it. There's really nothing special about that nursery, to be 100% honest. And the toddler's room is pretty much coming together too. I added one of those Farmhouse doll houses, because why would I not take the opportunity to do that inside of a farmhouse? I feel like that would be a missed opportunity if I did not add it. And as far as like the color scheme, I tried to keep it neutral so you could choose what gender. Really honestly, it's very gender neutral, so both of those you can kind of choose the gender. I was thinking the baby was definitely going to be a boy. It just screams boy because of the blue and the yellow. And then the toddler's room, like I said, it's very, very light, lots of white everywhere. The barn dollhouse is actually blue, so maybe that's more for a boy too. But like I said, both those rooms, very gender neutral. You could pick and choose which kind of baby you want. Which sounds so bad. Like, if someone was listening to this without knowing this was The Sims, they would be like, that sounds horrible. And then for that extra hallway space upstairs where the staircase is, I tossed around a few different ideas. I didn't necessarily want to add another computer area, and there wasn't a whole bunch of space to do much with. And so the best thing I came up with, guys, was to add a foosball table. I said, why not? I mean, I feel like Sims could get plenty of use out of a foosball table, so let's do it. And it actually fit there perfectly, and it looked pretty cute too. So I was pretty happy with it at the end of the day. And then on the outside of the back balcony, I ended up putting some yoga mats out there. I could totally see the mom and the teen daughter, or maybe the mom with the grandma, or you know what, maybe grandma and the teen is out there and they do yoga every morning, just listening to nature out on the back balcony. And I think that sounds awesome, honestly. In a situation like this, in a house like this, where you have hundreds of acres of land and you live on a farm and you have a balcony and it's nice and quiet, that would be the perfect setting for a yoga session, in my opinion. That sounds so relaxing. And honestly, I could totally see grandma busting some yoga moves up there, 100%. And then on the bottom where the patio is, right by the pool area, I just put some chess tables there and I called it a day on that. I didn't do anything too extreme with the patio and balcony, but I didn't want to do just like chairs either. Like I usually just put like benches and I'll put some pillows on there. And I did that in the front. But in the back, I wanted to make it a lot more useful than I usually do, and that's why I did the yoga mats upstairs, and then downstairs I do the chess tables. So at least there's some sort of skill building items out there, so you use it for something rather than nothing. So we are completely done with the inside, as you guys probably guessed, and we are now starting to finish up the outside of our build. And I'm getting together the little play area with the modular playgrounds. Guys, I love these things. They're so fun to do. And thank you to a subscriber of mine on my last video that they let me know what I was doing wrong. I was saying that the toddler could not get up on the playground, and for the life of me, I could not figure it out. But now it seems so obvious. So I had a ladder and the ramp on my previous modular playgrounds, and they were like, so toddlers cannot go up the ramp and they cannot go up the ladder. They have to have the stairs. And I was like, oh, okay. At that point, it was obvious to me what I was doing wrong. And so I made sure I didn't make that mistake here in this build, and I ended up putting a ramp and some stairs, and I think I left the ladder off. Maybe I added a ladder too, I can't quite remember, but I know for a fact I do a ramp and some stairs, so that should be able to be used by everybody. Children, teens, adults, toddlers, but I do not believe infants can go on there. Not sure. I'll have to test that out. I mean, if you guys know, feel free to let me know. You guys save me a lot of time by just telling me these things. I appreciate it 100%. And then next to the modular playground, I also add a swing set and a monkey bar set as well, so that there's plenty of stuff for your kids to do, and it feels so satisfying to have a complete playground for your kids now. I just love it. I still have a lot of landscaping and of course the terrain paint to do still, but for now we are inside of the barn and I am designing what I want it to look like. So I actually added an upstairs, and I tossed around a few different ideas of how I wanted the upstairs to be, and I ended up coming up with the idea that I could use it for like an additional skill building item area. So at first I was like, you know what, I could do like a teen hangout area, but I feel like the teen's room kind of tells that story already, and so I didn't think it really needed it. I think I could have used it for something better. And so what I ended up doing was making it into like an adult skill building item area. So we have the woodworking bench, we have a pottery making area, and I think that's it. I think that's all that I could add up there because it's such a small area. I almost also made it into like a little party area. I did a barn like this similar before in one of my other builds on my channel, and on the inside of the barn upstairs I put a ping pong table and I made it into like a little party area. I put a radio. Of course, I added a like juice keg upstairs as well, and a bunch of posters and lights, and it actually turned out really, really cool. I almost did that same thing, but I really liked having the additional skill building items up there instead so that they could make pottery, they could do woodworking, anything that their little heart desires they could do up there. So as you can probably see, I have tossed around some ideas of this upstairs space. I don't know why at this point in time my brain just couldn't function anymore, and I'm like, you know what, I almost did 2 desks up here and then just add some of those crafting kits on top that recently came with Adventure Awaits because I love those and I don't have them anywhere else in the build, but it's been such a long time since I have used the pottery like items and I kind of like that better, so I ended up just doing the pottery items instead. So there's the pottery making table itself with the chair, and then it has the pottery oven or kiln or whatever that's called there too. So it's everything you need to make some pottery. And that's it for upstairs. Now downstairs I have, of course, the horse's bed, and before anybody asks, I am 99.9% sure that yes, your horse can in fact go inside of that door. I am going to play test it before I upload it to the gallery though, just to make sure. I have done this exact same thing multiple times before and has always worked. Your sim just cannot be sitting on the horse. The horse has to walk in by itself, and you're able to call it in there to eat or drink or go to sleep, and so there shouldn't be a problem. And your horse should be able to go into that little sleeping area as well too. There shouldn't be any issues. Of course, I am going to play test it though, so if there is any issues, I will fix it. And so it may or may not look different, in other words, but I don't believe it will. So the barn is officially done, so we are in the home stretch of our build, guys. We are finishing up the landscaping, and I was indecisive on if I wanted to add bushes in the very front where that front fence is, because I know that it kind of covers most of the fence, but I thought it looked really good with the additional hedgerow bushes, so I went ahead and added them. And then I added one of those like ranch signs that came with Horse Ranch that you put in front of like a ranch, and I really love the detail that it gives, and so I ended up keeping that. I mean, that was one of the very first things I added, so it's probably not to any shock of you guys, but I felt the need to explain it anyways. As for the landscaping itself, I decided to go ahead and use these big debug bushes that I've been using a lot of, but this build, it needed these big bushes. This is such a huge lot that I needed to fill it up, so I usually size these bushes down like 2 times, at least 1 time, if not 2 times. But for this build, I actually kept it the default size, which is a huge bush, but it definitely helped me out by filling up as much space as possible. And then of course I couldn't help myself but to use these big, pretty, and beautiful yellow bushes too. It just really adds a bright and cheerful look to the build. And it matches the yellow flower boxes too, so it's like a win-win situation. I also am going to add some of those white oh yeah, I'm adding them now. I'm adding some of these white trees from Cats and Dogs. I felt like it added the perfect amount of white in between all of the green trees, and it added a really nice like colorful dimension. And I just love those trees too. And then your Sims actually walk under them, so it might look like it's covering the fence here or the gate, but your Sim does in fact walk under it, and I just love the effect that that gives. It makes it look super realistic, and I don't know why, but I feel like it's so fun to watch your Sim walk underneath the trees and like having the leaves just above their heads. I don't know why I find that so fun, but I do. And so that's probably why I fill up my builds with a bunch of trees and like low trees, so that like I can see my Sims just barely touching the tree as they walk by. And if you're like Sim height and you watch them go into the tree, that's even better. Well guys, at this point I do believe I have said everything there is to say about this build. I don't think there's any other additions I need to add, so I am going to leave you guys to enjoy the rest of this video on your own. We pretty much just have some last minute landscaping touches to put, and then other than that it's just going to be terrain paint, and then that's it. If you did find this video enjoyable, then please do not forget to leave a like and also subscribe if you have not already. Also comment down below whatever it is you would like to comment, and share this video with your friends if they are simmers as well. Any and every one of those things really helps my channel out. It helps push the algorithm to push my video out to other simmers. And like I said in the last video, we have recently reached 1,500 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy to me, and I just cannot thank you all enough. I hope you all have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys.